Before we get started with today's episode, I want to share something really special. In talking to so many of you, I realized that many aspiring box owners need more structure, that you need your plan laid out for you in an organized way. But that can be quite a challenge, especially when all your ideas and research, it's all piecemeal here and there, some in your head, some in a notebook, some saved as bookmarks in your web browser, never to be revisited again. Because of this gap you might be experiencing in your idea stage, that first stage of your subscription box journey, we came up with a plan that will help you start planning your subscription box and finally create the business you've imagined, but a lot faster and more fun than you could ever imagine. Yes, the Box Business Plan event is back. It's a 5-day virtual workshop to create your subscription box business plan, and you're invited. This is for you if you don't have a business plan for your box yet, or if you're just in the idea stages. We've designed this workshop to get you results without overwhelm. If this sounds like what you need, then go jump on the waitlist now at boxbusinessplan.com. Our next event is February 21st through the 25th. Hope to see you there. So, you want to launch a subscription box and don't know where to start? Girl, you are in the right place. I'm Julie Ball, a subscription box coach and your host here at Subscription Box Basics, a podcast for new and aspiring subscription box entrepreneurs that want to avoid overwhelm. So grab a coffee, some pen and paper, and let's have some fun. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I have a super special episode today because it is a 2-part series with my good friend Eric Music. Yes, we are doing a Coach's Corner where we decided on 2 topics that we're going to talk about. Part 1 is right here. We're going to be talking about mindset. Part 2 is on Eric's podcast, The Subscription Box Show, and we're talking about growth tactics. So listen to this episode, then head over to Eric's. We'll put all the links in the show notes. Enjoy. All right, guys, we are going to dive into something that's super, super important. You probably see people talking about mental health all the time. And there are some common mindset challenges that we as subscription box CEOs deal with all the time, and just in general, business owners too. So I have my friend Eric Music from the Subscription Box Show on with me today. What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, Julie? Thanks for having me. This is great. This was a great idea you had to put together, and I love the subject. I'm very passionate about it, so this will be fun.
Yes. So this is part 1 of our little 2-part series. And so we're just going to dive right in. We're going to do this like round robin style. Eric and I have kind of brainstormed some of the common mindset issues that we personally deal with. And then we're going to give you a tip or 2 of like how we push through those. So I'm going to throw the mic over to you, Eric. The first one we're going to talk about is just like this overall mindset, right? This doesn't have to be hustle all the time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think I'll get right into it. I think you said it best on JLD's podcast when you were on Entrepreneurs on Fire. Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to that, go and listen to Julie's interview with John Lee Dumas. Crushed it. But yeah, you mentioned like sparkle, hustle, grow. He's talking about, well, the hustle part, it doesn't have to be always hustle. You need some time to reset. So overall mindset, I've got kind of a few things I want to talk about. And I think a big one for me is being organized. And I think when you're organized, it can bring peace of mind. It can reduce stress and anxiety. And sometimes we keep ourselves so busy, and sometimes we're actually what we call fake busy, right? Where we're trying to stay busy, but we're not too sure what to do. So being organized can really help cure that overwhelm and that overall stress and anxiety that you think of all these things to do. But when you're nice and organized, it can help with that overall mindset.
Yeah, I love that. And we were just talking about before we got on the podcast about one thing that's helping us stay organized is a planner. And if you guys haven't heard about the new subscription box planner by Jessica Principe and Becky Hoy, it's a collaboration. You guys need to check that out. We'll put the links in the show notes. Yeah. I think, Eric, right? We're both pen and paper kind of people. Yeah. And it's so nice to have a planner and just an idea of like, what am I going to do today? You're right about that fake busy though. Like sometimes I'll look back at my day and I'll be like, what actually did I accomplish?
Yeah.
But if I go into the day with my like top 3, like these 3 things have to get done, I always feel so much more productive. Like I'm actually moving the business forward too.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. And the planner, we were just oohing and eyeing over it yesterday, not to kind of, not to get lost in the weeds with this planner thing, but it's fantastic. Check it out.
Yeah.
They are sold out of the printed paper ones, but they're supposed to come, I think, late January is what Jessica was saying. And then they are having still, you can download the digital one. So go ahead and check that out if you want to start off the new year's being organized.
Yeah. And clean up your desk space, people. Like, is your desk cluttered? Well, if it's cluttered, then no wonder if you feel disorganized in your business or you don't know what to do every single day. So that's just like a really simple tip when it comes to organization.
Yeah. And I think just to keep going on the overall mindset, if you don't mind, I think good routine too. What do you think about routine? I think a routine is very essential to staying organized, kind of staying with that whole organized mindset thing. Sleep. And sleep's important when it comes to good routine. Your bookends, so how do you start your day and how do you end your day? Those are so key. I think good in, garbage out, right? Like, what are you putting into your brain every day? There's so much going on in the world today. We don't need to get into what we all know what we're talking about, right? But you don't have to absorb all that negative stuff all the time. What do you put into your brain is going to be huge, and what comes out of your production as well.
I agree. It's all, a lot of what helps me be successful is personal development and making that a part of my routine. So next time you're about to pull up your news app to dive into all the bad news of the day, open up your podcast app instead and listen to a mindset podcast episode, or listen to one of our podcasts, something that's going to feed your brain in the way it needs to be fed. And when it comes to routine, that routine can involve like really good habits. And that doesn't mean, though, that you were talking about those bookends. What works for you? You know what I mean? That doesn't mean you have to be in the 5 a.m. club where you wake up and you have like this extensive routine in the morning. Make a routine that's going to fit for your lifestyle and specifically fit the season you're in. So I'm in a season where we're homeschooling and we have one child. She's 10. That's a very different season than you're in right now, Eric. You have how many kids and what ages? Like you
5. We're at 5 now. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So 5. And that season of having a, really, really young child too is very different than what I'm in. So had I looked at my routines and my habits of that season of my life, it's different than what it is right now. And that's okay. Yeah. And it's not the same as the gurus, you don't have to always do something that's going to stress you out just because a mentor says that works for them.
Yeah. And I think consistency in your habit is more important, right? Like, I'm definitely not part of the 5 a.m. club. I'm a night owl. So I wake up at 7 a.m. That's about as good as I'll get. But making sure by the bookends in your sleep routine, you can still have a routine in place. I know I need at least 7 hours, 8 optimally. So I know if I'm in bed by 11, that's pretty good for me. If I'm in bed at midnight, I can still pass because I get my 7 hours. But that's for me, it's my 7 hours. But I start my day with some quiet time and some reading and some prayer, and I end my day the same way. And I think those are important to have that routine in place. And again, don't go with necessarily what the gurus might suggest, although it might be some fantastic suggestions and they might work for you. But I think whatever you're going to do, stick to it. Like, I don't have an extensive workout regime, but I just do a little bit every morning. I know I can stick to it. And I've been doing it for a number of years now. So I think whatever you do, just stick to it, stay consistent.
Yeah. We were just studying habits in Sparkle, Hustle, Grow in December. Like, that was our theme. And one of the things that we talked a lot about is removing obstacles that prevent you from doing the habits that you want to do. So for me, my morning routine, I like to start slow. I usually get up around 8. I am not an early riser. One of the first things I do is I have a devotional. And so I have a book and it's right next to my bed. That makes it easy for me to grab it, read it before I even get out of bed. And then that's almost like the launch pad. And then I, brush my hair, brush my teeth, wash my face, and then I get my coffee. Like, that's my morning routine. And then I spend some time with my family and I dive into work. So it doesn't always have to be complex, but also think about setting yourself up for success by putting things where they need to be. It's not going to be a challenge. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I love that. And look, you're a guru, you're a subscription box guru, and that's what works for you. So that's a perfect one. You have some examples from all types of people to follow. So yeah, good routine is key. Do you have anything more on that one? Because otherwise I'm going to go into plugging into a community.
Ooh, go ahead. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, I think, as we're building our business, sometimes we can feel on an island. Maybe some of our friends and family members are all working, 9 to 5s, and here we are trying to do this extra thing and we have no time, right?
Right.
So first of all, we're going to go back to the organized, but yeah, plug into community that where you can lean on others that are in the same boat as you. But just one thing to caution there is like, just be careful who you're taking your advice from, right? Like you don't want to probably take your advice from someone like you, Julie, who's been there, done that, who has, fruits to show from what you've done. So I think plug-in communities are great, but sometimes you can get lost in the weeds too, where you don't want to. Advice is great, and I appreciate everyone's advice, but sometimes you also want to make sure you're getting it from the right sources. It's okay. We're not plug into community could be a course. It could be subscription box bootcamp. It can be plugging into community, a Facebook community. I mean, it could be a mastermind. It could be a number of different things. But I think once you're part of something bigger than just you can always fall back on others, and it's okay to ask questions.
Yes.
Ask questions for sure. People are, especially in our community, right? In the subscription box community, I think people are always willing to help. So I think it's okay to ask, and it's okay to lean on others for support.
Yeah, I don't think we were meant to do entrepreneurship alone. I don't think we're meant to do parenthood alone. I don't think we're meant to do any of that stuff alone. And so I think that you make a really great point about being in community. That's part of why I even launched my subscription box. I had moved from Charlotte, North Carolina to Asheville, North Carolina. And I was in a new location where I didn't have any friends there yet. And I was feeling really lonely. And so I was trying to find my people, and finding them online was so much easier. And then building the box. It's funny. A lot of times when we survey our customers, they say they join for the stuff, but they stick around because of the community.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, because I think we all need each other to lean on, to celebrate wins, to ask questions. And when you talked about finding the right sources, I think that's super important, because I like to find people who have gone before me, and maybe they're a couple of steps ahead of me, and they're willing to share their, so-called war stories, and we can learn from their failures and just have forward progression faster because of them. And that's what a mentor is all about,
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't have one, try to reach out to people that might, look at past guests on Julie's show or my show and ask. Sometimes there's just something as simple as asking. Again, going back to the ask and leading with value is always a good way to go. Did you want to tackle the next one?
Yes. I want to talk about money mindset.
Oh,
yeah, okay. Because that is one of my biggest challenges. It was massively blocking me from success when I first started my box business. And I think it's really important to talk about money mindset, because what you find with a subscription box is you're spending a lot of money before you make it. So for example, we purchase our products 3 to 4 months in advance. We're not going to see that money, that revenue, as someone buys those and receives those products for 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
That means you're on this continuous cycle of like money in and money out. And if you don't do the work to not only the mindset work to understand like emotionally how that's going to help you and hurt you, but the practical training too, to understand how the accounting side of it works. I think they go hand in hand. For me, money mindset apparently was deep rooted. I didn't realize this until I started doing the work. And I'm going to make 2 recommendations of authors and podcasts that you can listen to. So Jen Sincero, she is the author of the You Are a Badass book series. And so she particularly has one that's called You Are a Badass at Making Money. And she's got this like trademark humor. It kind of makes light of this otherwise heavy topic. And then the other recommendation I have is Denise Duffield Thomas. She has both a podcast and some books that, and she's a little bit part woo. Like there's a lot of things in her books that are going to like push you a little bit. And I'm part woo too, not like, I'm very practical about things, but I can dream big. And I like to look at the, so-called woo side of things. But she had in her books, she has you do these exercises that I'm not even kidding. And I'm not trying to be dramatic, because I can be dramatic. I felt sick to my stomach during these exercises as I was unpacking my money mindset blocks. And when I woke up that next morning, I felt like a new person. Like wow. I had worked through some things. So if you're ready to do that money mindset work, Those two authors, Jen Sincero and Denise Duffield Thomas, are some great resources to help you through it. So do you resonate with this? Do you have any money mindset issues?
Yeah, I definitely did. I grew up super mediocre, kind of like middle Canada kind of thing, right? So I think even knowing there was I was able to do something else than just work at 9 to 5, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, there was no one here really rises to become great things. It seemed, or it seemed, right? So I was never taught that you could do anything you want.
See, that's the mindset you were stuck in, right?
Yeah, I was stuck in that mindset of mediocrity. Like, so I think a book for me, if I could recommend one, The Compound Effect is a good one from Darren Hardy. The Compound Effect is just basically on all the little things you do compound. You're either going up or you're going down. You're never really going in a straight line, is kind of what he explains. So all the little things you do, those routines, that organization stuff, it's either pulling you up or it's pulling you down. So you're in control of your mindset, and especially when it comes to money mindset. If you were raised similar to what I was, you have to get over that. It could take a long time. So doing the proper things on a routine basis is gonna help that overall.
Yeah, and I would encourage our listeners to think too about, we are told in society, or conditioned to think that wanting money is greedy. But I've never been able to be as generous and as like helping as I can be when I have money in my hand. Whether that's, donating to somebody, or being generous with my team, or taking them on a trip, or there's all kinds of things, so many amazing positive things you can do with money. It doesn't have to equate to greed. So we have to kind of recondition our thoughts around money, that it's healthy. It's okay to want to earn money and to, grow your business. That doesn't make you a greedy person.
No, it doesn't at all. I think, the hospitals and the universities and the museums and all the great things that are built are not built by people being mediocre and broke. They're built by people that have money. And so you can do great things with money, and you can do bad things. So money's not the root of all evil, right? Bad people are the root of all evil. Yeah, again, it's all about how you condition yourself with your routines and mindset. So yeah, I couldn't agree more on the money mindset stuff.
Cool. Okay, moving on. What's your next one?
Yeah, being in the proper headspace. And I think we kind of touched on those things, but I think and I love that you mentioned that, because I actually just interviewed 2 young girls, and I think they should come on your show. They're fantastic. We'll talk about that after, but okay. They're talking about that, how if you're not in the proper headspace, I think what can happen is it can affect your box and your business. Because let's say you're in a grumpy mood and you're not in the proper headspace, and you're trying to work on your business. I've had bad days. You've had bad days. Yeah. Just recently, I had a very bad day, and it affects the way I thought about my business. It affects what's going to be going into my business. It affects the way I respond to my emails and all the different things. So I think being in the proper headspace can really help your business forward, and it's going to almost like have an effect of the product that comes out. Does that make sense?
I 100% agree. It's the same thing as if, you're grumpy, and has a ripple effect on your family. It can have a ripple effect on your business as well. And I feel like we're in the trust tree here. So I'm going to be like brutally honest and share that a lot of time for me, that comes out as resentment. And if something's not going the way that I wanted it to go, or that I expected it or projected it, and, that might mean sales, or, I'm not on good terms with Facebook ads right now. Like, we are not friends. No. And I feel some resentment and, towards that, because I used a lot of Facebook ads in the past to replace our churn. And then when the iOS changes happened, that really switched gears for us. And I poured a lot of money into Facebook ads that didn't convert. That was just not, I see you putting your hand up too, Eric. We have just not re-cracked the code. Now, we've been good with list building, but we haven't been able to crack the code with conversion ads. And so I felt deep feelings of resentment. And this is so weird. Like, I'll share this with you guys. For me, I'm the kind of person who silos my feelings, and I do therapy to help me through it. And I can physically feel pain in my body when I have resentment in a very specific place. It's my lower right back. It's crazy. Sometimes I need that physical representation, that pain, to snap me out of that headspace where I'm like, oh, something's going on and I'm not processing those emotions. That pain is almost like my red flag to say, Julie, okay, get back in the right headspace. Like, what's going on? Figure this out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's tough to snap out of it. I was talking with this over the Christmas holidays with a buddy of mine. Like, what happens when you go into that little mini depression mood and you're grumpy and
Yes.
you just can't seem to snap out of it, right? And it's tough. So I think again, going back to leaning on someone, just being able to talk to him through it, right? It's like, okay, like how do you snap out of it? And then I think find a mentor or a friend you trust and you can really have those conversations with when it's really not going well, because you want to kind of cower and be alone, but I think it's so you need to kind of push out of that. And again, using your bookends in your routine and leaning on your community and all these different things all kind of comes together to help you out.
Yeah, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And you know what helps me a lot? And this is going back to that hustle all the time. A lot of times when I'm in that headspace, it's because I've been working too much and not playing enough. And
Yes.
all that means is like, get your butt outside, go for a hike, get some fresh air, do whatever you need to, but like walk away from the computer. And those are those moments where, I might think I need to keep hustling because hustle equates to success. And that's not always the case. I find myself falling into bad habits sometimes, and I have to remind myself, we like to look at the business at Sparkle Hustle Grow as seasons of hustle and seasons of rest. And we try to plan those out. Now, when things change and there's like fire drills, that always kind of puts me in that bad headspace. And I'm like, okay, I need to go play. I need to do something fun, bring some joy back into my life. So that's one of my big takeaways here is to like, when you start getting into that bad headspace, like look at your calendar. When was the last time you went and had some like joy and fun and play? When was the last time you went outside, even if just for a walk with some fresh air?
Yeah. Yeah. Or take some time off if you need to. I think Christina and I, my wife and I, like we run our subscription box company, right? And we hadn't taken time off since we launched in 2019. And over the last December, I took 4 weeks off from my podcast.
Good for you.
So I had separated myself from it just to take a mental clean break. I needed that. And for the business, we took a full week off, and but even if it's just a week, that week was like, we talked about it was last week. We talked, so between Christmas and New Year's, we took the full week off. We tried not to touch anything as much as possible. It was fantastic. We're like, oh my goodness, we really needed this. We really needed this time off, because it was at the point where it was just hitting the walls. And I think you come back to it now, it's like in the new year, fresh start, let's go. And now you're refreshed. I think so. Being in the proper headspace, sometimes you need to clear some room for some you time. So yeah.
Agreed. All right, moving on to the next one. This is a topic that I think is going to resonate really well with our aspiring subscription box entrepreneurs. And this common mindset challenge is fear.
Ooh, yeah.
Fear of launching, fear of failure, fear of success even. Like, what if it works really well? Then what? There's just so much fear that can be a part of the entrepreneur journey. This is something that I deal with. I've been an entrepreneur since 2011. I started my box in 2016, and fear has definitely been along for the ride the whole time. One of the ways that I combat this is I ask myself, what's the worst that can happen?
Yes.
And when you look at what's the worst you can happen, and then you ask yourself, like, okay, what does that mean? Am I going to live through this? And what's going to change if that worst thing happens? And more often than not, it's not going to be the end all be all. Like, you might have to pivot, you might have to change some things. Yes. But like, seriously, think about what is the worst that can happen. And, all along my entrepreneurial journey, I have pushed through tons of fear. Believe it or not, I'm extroverted, right? But believe it or not, I hate live video. Like, I just get scared. My hands start to sweat. I come up with 5 reasons why I shouldn't go live. And, and sometimes I give myself the grace and be like, this isn't worth the mental stress, and I just won't do it. But sometimes I'll push through and be like, Julie, come on, like, just go live and say what you need to say, and then move on with your day.
Sometimes that thing you're fearing is the thing you need to do as well. Yes. Which is key, right? I think you can use it. Yes. And I do the same thing. So certain things terrify me. And it's like, sometimes, it's not worth it. And I just need to take a break from that. But sometimes it's like, if I'm honest with myself, I'm like, yeah, that's the thing I need to do. That's why it's so scary. When you do it, it's like, it gets less scary. And then you do it again and it gets less scary. And then there's another thing that's going to be scary and you need to do that thing. So so fear is crazy. I think fear starting fear of sharing, all these different things, right? And I think having, again, going back to the mindset, having an abundance mindset versus one of scarcity. So I think sometimes people, I remember we had an idea, this is the greatest idea, we're going to keep it to ourselves. And then there was this fear of sharing it. And there was this fear of starting because of what would happen, So I think, having this, learning to have an abundance mindset that people are not going to steal your idea. And there's enough for everyone, or a fear of there's already this idea out there. Well, then what's your value proposition? Like, make it unique, make it even more, like you said on GLD's podcast, right? Make it more niche, like make it yours, like make it have your tribe. It's not going to be for everyone, but make it for that specific audience, and don't be scared to share that with the world.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I want to say about this is you're not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. Our listeners, guys, realize you're not for everyone. And when you get clear on who you want to serve, when you show up, it's going to automatically, like magnetically attract the right people, and it's going to repel the wrong people. And don't be fearful of repelling those people, because they're not your target audience anyhow. They're just going to give you grief. That instead, like, embrace that. That's kind of like this automatic, like, oh, they've disqualified themselves as a potential customer. That's cool. Move on with your day and I can move on with mine. And so I would encourage everyone listening to not be fearful of that when it comes to sharing your idea, sharing about your launch, and sharing your journey, because that's part of, like, it's almost like natural selection, right? So you want the right audience members or the right target audience to resonate with you and to repel those other ones, because they would be nightmare customers anyhow. So
yeah, and you're still going to get them anyways, but it's okay when you get a bad review. Remember, you were saying on, I think it was one of your podcasts on, you were talking to, how it hurts you when you're reading bad reviews. I remember, it was maybe this past summer, right? And those suck. And but you got to just go through them. That wasn't the right people, right? That wasn't the tribe. And that happens to every subscription box. Just don't be scared of starting. Just start. And what's the worst that can happen? You gotta, and it's okay to be really honest with that as well, because the worst that can happen could be, you could lose your job, you could lose your business, you could have to restart, but there's always another business, there's always another job, there's always another way. So you just got to really get honest with it as well, because it can be pretty crappy, and it could be crappy. But again, what is that worst? What is that crappiest thing that could happen, right?
Yeah. And if it helps, make a backup plan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like this is a great little therapy session, Eric.
This is really fun. Yeah. Are we ready for the next one?
Yeah. Let's talk about the next one.
Okay. The next one, comparison. So the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to comparison is, people want that, again, going back to fear of starting, you're looking at where you're at to someone else's, right? So there was the old saying, like, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20, because that's so true. Like, someone who's been there, like Julie, it's intimidating to think, I can never do, what Julie's doing. My box, I should have started in 2016, or I should have started in 2011. Well, you should start now, because there's always going to be another challenge. There's always going to be another algorithm change. There's always going to be something else, another challenge, a shipping delays, whatever. There's always going to be something. It's no different than something that happened in the 20s and 40s and 50s and 70s and 2000s. And now it's happening again. So there's always going to be something, but there's also opportunity with that. So I think be careful when you compare yourself to someone else, because I think everyone has a unique situation. And as long as you're plugged into the right space, plugged into the right things, anyone can build a business. There's no question about it.
Yeah. I think for me, when it comes to comparison with other boxes, I think, one, it's important to be unique. So, what is it that's different about your business? But two, it's like, you need to take the time to define your version of success, and let that be what you compare your progress to, not to someone else's success. So let me just give you a quick example with Sparkle Hustle Grow. I never set out to be the next FabFitFun or to have 10,000, 5,000 subscribers. In fact, we know what our optimum numbers are. I call that our sweet spot. That's right around that 1,000 to 1,200 subscriber mark. That's a place based off of revenue, based off of workload, based off of my current team. That is a sweet spot where we can sit and not stress out too much, not feel overworked, and where I can still be generous to them. Now, I've been asked on podcasts before, like, how many subscribers do you have? And when I would tell them that, I would have to preface it by saying, don't look at that as lack of ambition. It's just, I know what success looks like for me, my family, and my team. So when you fall into that comparison trap, I encourage you to stop and think about, okay, what is my sweet spot for me, my team, my family, my season of life, and sit in that and compare, and not compare to other people, but compare to, it's your own race. Like you're not racing anybody else to that definition of success. So that's my biggest kind of suggestion or tip in if you suffer from comparisonitis.
That's a good one. I love that. I use that.
I didn't come up with that word. Actually, we're in March for Sparkle Hustle Grow. Comparisonitis is the name of the book of the month. So as a group, all like these women entrepreneurs, we're all going to be studying this together. So if that resonates with you, then you're going to want the March Sparkle Hustle Grow box. Yeah,
for sure. And you're relaunching at the end of February, is it?
So that's for Subscription Box Bootcamp.
Yes,
we're relaunching that at the end of February. So yeah, if you're looking for a mentor, you can DM me and I'll give you more details on that. And actually when we're done, Eric, we should talk a little bit about that because you're an affiliate for that for Subscription Box Bootcamp. So a lot of your listeners, thank you, might find some interest in what you have to offer. So
no, for sure. And I think just to wrap up the comparison thing, I think like sometimes people, they get, this mindset of like, oh, it's 10,000, 50,000 or bust. But some people just want to keep their job because they love what they do, but they just they've got this side passion that they want to put together as a business model. And that's okay. Like you might just want 50 to 150 subscribers. If that's you, or, you don't want to keep it small because you love what you do as work. And you feel fulfilled there, but you just want to do something on the side, that's fine too. Like what's your idea of success could be a lot different. Ours is to grow as big as we can and to get acquired. And that's okay too. Like it doesn't matter. Like I think, and then we want to start different things. Like, so we have a lot of ideas. And so what is your idea of success? To define it. I love that. And I think that's a great point.
Thanks. All right, guys. So we have talked about so many common mindset challenges as a subscription box CEO. We really hope that you resonated with some of these and took away some tips that are going to help you get your head right when it comes to these challenges. I would love to know, like, did any of these really resonate with you? Or are there some that you're dealing with that you could use like a shoulder to lean on or a little bit of feedback on how to push through it? I would love to hear that. You should DM me. On Instagram, I'm at Subscription Box Bootcamp, and I would love to talk it over with you and help you push through those mindset issues, because it's something that you're going to work through your entire entrepreneurial journey, but especially a lot of these hit. And Eric, I'm not sure if you have feedback on this, but like at pre-launch, like that is when so many of these mindset issues are going to be hitting you from every angle. And now you have some tools and resources to help push through.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even to go further on that, I think it does even pass if you're past a pre-launch and you're maybe stuck between, wherever you're stuck at some point in your business, you're going to have more of these things come here. Maybe now the fear of failure starts creeping in, like, oh, it started well, now it's not so well. Like all these, wherever you're at in your journey, lean on someone. And same thing, I'd be happy to, if you feel comfortable with Julie, great. If you want to reach out to me, I'd be happy to help as well at the Subscription Box Show or at Eric Music. You'll find me on either one of those. So I'd be also very happy to help. So this is part of a little 2-part mini series. To get to part 2, you're gonna have to head over to Eric's show now. You now have to go over to the Subscription Box Show podcast to get the part 2. So we're going to be talking about growth and growth tactics for 2022, right, Julie?
Yes. And we have so many thoughts on those. So you guys should definitely head over there right now. And I look forward to talking about growth strategies. I know you guys are all ready to listen to it because 2021 had some challenges and we are ready to make 2022 awesome. And we're going to tell you how we're going to work on our businesses and what growth strategies we're going to use.
100%. This was fun.
Thank you so much, Eric. And we'll see you guys over in part 2.